And this also goes into a discussion for Nick. Nick asked how credit spreads can be adjusted. Well, there's many ways to adjust a credit spread. There's 8 ways that I prefer to adjust a bull put bear call credit spread, or a few ways to even adjust the debit spreads we were talking about before as well. You saw that already. You can go through it here. You can go into the option strategies, powerop.com/webinars.asp. 8 ways to manage a bull put credit spread. Further down is managing your spread positions. I think there's also 8 ways to manage a bear call credit spread on this list as well. Similar, just reversed, right? So once again, I'm sorry, I don't want this here. All right, let's just go back. You know what? No, I'm just going to navigate straight to the profit and loss chart. I'm going straight to the custom spread tool, Nick. And I know it's a lower price stock, but I'm going to use on again just as an example. We saw today that it dropped back down below 24.99, below 25, excuse me. It was up around 26. Let's say I was ambitious, Nick. And the other day when the stock moved up to 26, I had sold the 26 put and bought the 24. Now, prices would have been different. This would have probably only been about $1. This probably would have been about 45 cents. So maybe less, a lot less than that. So let's go ahead and do that. The stock was at 25.70. Let's say we sold this. We'll keep the math simple. One contract for 80 cents, the 26 put. And I bought this one here for 35 cents. Okay, so now 45. Let's put 45, okay? All right. So here we are. Pretty close to what we saw on the other one. We've got a 2-point spread, 35-cent net credit, 21.2% return because we were closer to at the money. What's wrong now? The stock is between the 2 strike prices. My short put is in the money. I am now risking being assigned and having to own shares of stock at $26 at any time now that my short put is in the money. Now, I don't have to fret too much because I do own this 24 puts. The worst case scenario is if it continued down and fell to, say, 22. Even if I was put the stock at 26, I'm now in a married put where I can't lose more than 165. All right, the $2 strike difference minus the net credit. Before we go any further, on this, Nick, and you'll see this in the webinar as well, there's 2 important points when looking at a bull put credit spread, bear call credit spread, or iron condors in your portfolio. And that is position sizing, meaning this monetary risk, the $1.65 times the number of contracts times 100, the total risk in any spread, or in my opinion, any purchase long call, the total monetary risk should not represent more than 4 or 5% of your total portfolio. And you shouldn't be trading credit spreads, long calls with more than 15 to 20% allocation of your total portfolio. What do I mean by that? It means when I'm doing bull puts in my account, I'm only allocating 15% of my total portfolio to this particular strategy. Each cycle, I might open 3 to 4 trades. So each trade is a third to a fourth of that 15%. So even if one trade goes against me for the full loss for an unexpected event, I still kept 95% of my total portfolio value. That's position sizing. I would never trade credit spreads, buying calls, buying puts with 40%, 50%, 60% of my total portfolio value, because there are times when you'll see those leverage long calls, even leverage long puts if the market goes the wrong way, or credit spreads and debit spreads, an unexpected event happens and that portion that you allocated might be down 40, 50, 60%. It happens. I took a 45% drawdown a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, February 5th through 9th, 2018 with that sudden crash. I had 3 bull put credit spreads open. The first day of that decline, I closed all 3 spreads for an average of about a 47% loss of the money I'd allocated. I made it back a few months later, but that's what can happen with these strategies. So first thing is proper position sizing. Second thing, so it's just, PS, position sizing. Second thing, so don't overtrade. Second thing is triggers, okay? Know your trigger points, and that's discussed in that webinar, so I won't review it as well. Normally, when I open a bull put credit spread, the stock's going to be several points above my short put strike price. So I'm going to look for a position with an 85% probability or higher. That's a terrible 85, but 85% probability or higher, so I'm a couple strikes out of the money. What does that mean? My first trigger is if the stock reaches within 1% of my short put strike price, I'm going to consider managing. I would never open a bull put credit spread solely based on the probability, the premium, and the return. The stock still has to be moving in the desired direction. I would never trade a bull put credit spread on a stock I would not like to own. Why? Because that's a potential outcome, is that I can end up owning this stock. So, same criteria I'd look for to buy a stock and hold is the same criteria I'm going to look for to enter a bull put credit spread. So it might be something as an SMA, an EMA, stock being above an SMA or EMA, MACD, Bollinger Bands. Why am I mentioning all this? Because if I'm in the trade, and one of my criteria was to only look for stocks that are trading above the 20-day moving average or the 50-day, and at some point during the trade the stock falls below the 20-day or the 50-day, that might be a trigger for me to get out. I wouldn't open a bull put credit spread on the position if I was opening it brand new with this criteria. Why stay in one right now that's going against me? Delta you can use as well. I'm not a fan of using delta, but it's the same as kind of using probability. So position sizing and then triggers. Now, real quick, I'm not going to go through examples of all of them, but what are some of the things that I could do right now that you'll see in that webinar, 8 ways to manage a bull put credit spread. Okay, so you've got your position size first, you got your triggers second, now it's moved against you. What can you do? 1, well, of course, 1 is do nothing. If you think the stock's going to recover, move back above the strike prices, go back above here and you'll have a full profit. That's always a choice, do nothing. 2, I always use 2-point spreads or 2 strikes apart on a stock. Why? Because the second thing I might consider here is if I am or I do think the stock's going to recover, another thing I could do is roll down just the short, not the whole spread. I'm already holding a 24. This is the option, the trigger, that's my threat. This is the one that's the problem. So I might buy to close the 26 for a hefty premium and sell to open the 25. Now I've got a 24-25 spread that'll have a lower return because of the loss realized here. But now if the stock stays right at 25 or moves just to 25.20, I've got a profit instead of where I'd still be at a loss on the initial position. So roll just the short. That's a potential. Number 3. Don't know if this is the same order I present in the webinar, Nick, but this is how it's coming to me in my mind. Number 3 is, I'm sorry, it's not. Number 1 is do nothing. Number 2 is close. Just get out. Get out of the position, move on, make it back with other successful trades that are going in your direction. No one likes to do those two. You want to be proactive, I get it, but those are 2 choices. Do nothing, and then 2, just close and be done with it. Make it back with other positions that better match. Number 3, roll down the short just 1 strike or to the next out of the money strike if it was structured correctly with a strike in between. That'd be number 3. Number 4, close and move the whole spread. Close and roll. So what would I do? I'd liquidate this for a loss for that February expiration coming up on the 7th, and then I'd roll down to maybe the 24 and 22 bull put credit spread, but likely I'd have to go out to March in order to get any credit that would counter the loss in this position. I'm not too much a fan of this one, not to use the cliches, but we talk about positions where you see stocks falling and falling and falling and everyone's averaging down and averaging down, and then you hear the cliches come in, well, you don't want to catch the falling knife, right? You don't want to catch the falling knife. Don't try to catch the falling knife. And on the opposite, if you're in bear call spreads and the stock's going up and up and up, well, don't get in the way of the freight train, right? Get out of the way of the freight train, maybe switch it and do something else. And the stock is continuing to fall. Remember, as you just close the bull put and roll down or close the bear call and roll up, you're going to take a loss here and you still have the potential for that same 2-3 point loss here. So if you're catching the falling knife, you could continue to have to roll this and roll this and roll this. What might be a better idea is if your sentiment is changed and the direction is changed, is to close the bull put and take the loss and do the opposite. In other words, I might close this bull put. Now that I've seen my triggers, the stock's fallen below the 50-day or 20-day moving average. The MACD has turned negative. What is this pointing to? A bearish stock. Would I open a bull put spread on a bearish stock? No. So why roll down my existing position that was a bull put spread on a stock that doesn't look like it's suitable for a bull put spread? Close and do the opposite. I'm going to open a bear call. But again, because I'm realizing the loss on the first spread, I may be going out to March or to April, maybe to June, to get an out-of-the-money bear call spread that gives me enough credit, in this case, to counter that. All right, so that's number, close and do the opposite. I think I'm missing one already in my head. Number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, close and do the opposite. 6, not a fan of, but it's there. You've got a bull put credit spread again that's been threatened here. And some people say, well, we can open a bear call to create an iron condor. Further out of the money bear call, maybe sell the 27 call and buy the 29. So open an iron condor by doing the bear call and leaving the bull put open. You can already sort of gauge why I don't like this. What does this do? You get a second premium, so it increases your return. It also lowers the risk. And hopefully your broker allows you to only have the margin requirement on one side of the spread or the other, not both. But since you're opening a bear call to repair, they may have the margin required on the bull put and on the bear call. They might not see it as an iron condor. Now, did this increase the return, which would also potentially lower your break even and raise the upper break even? Yes. But is it enough to counter the loss in this direction? No. If it continues to fall, you could still have a loss that would be 4-to-1, 5-to-1. This is only used, of course, and this is more in depth in that webinar, this is only used if you think the stock's going to stabilize and recover slightly, or you think it's going to stay right where it is around your short put strike. You can sort of affect your break evens by adding an iron condor. Number 7. It's an interesting one, but it needs more continued movement in the direction against you. Close the short. Leave the long open. Okay, what does that mean? Well, it's gone below my short put strike price. I can buy to close my 26 put and leave the 24 open. Now what do I have? I essentially have a 24 put with probably, I took in 35 cents net credit. Got to buy this back for maybe 110, 120. So I'm holding a 24 call that's out of the money for maybe 95 cents or $1. So if I think it's going to continue down to 22 or 23, that's great. I'm now in a long put position. But I increase the cost basis of it, which would lower the probability to break even, and so forth. Number 8, I won't get into. I'm going to review this, clear all it up, and then I'll show you an example. It may or may not work. Doesn't always work, but this is the time where it would work. And again, I'm sorry, Rick, if these are out of order when you watch the webinar. It's pretty close. Do nothing. Close the entire spread, take the loss, and move on. Roll the short put down 1. Close the whole spread and roll the spread down to lower, but if it's moving against you, you're more likely to close and do the opposite. Add a bear call credit spread to create an iron condor to help with the premium, help with the break evens, still a chance to lose. If your sentiment is totally changed and now you think the stock's going to continue to fall, close the short, leave the long open. Now got a long put position if the stock continues to fall down to 24, 23, 22, and beyond. But remember, you probably open this as a shorter term spread, so you don't have that much time for the stock to continue to move in that direction. I don't have a lot of time to go through it all. What I'm saying here is that I'm not going to show the bear calls idea because they're just the same thing, just reversed, right? So you'd close and roll up. You'd add a bull put to create an iron condor. You'd close and do a bull put if you're in a bear call and the stock starts to move against you, okay? Number 8, I'm going to clear all this up now. Number 8 is what's called the pendulum adjustment. One of the adjustments we mentioned was close and do the opposite, where I'd close my bull put for loss and maybe do a bear call several months out in time to see if it helps me get back to break even. I know there's other names for it, but number 8 is something that we teach, and I'm very fond of, in these situations where the stock has fallen below the short put from an unexpected event but still above the long, and I call it the pendulum adjustment. What I'm going to do with one move, and thankfully with the commission wars going on right now, commissions aren't in effect anymore, so I'll comment on that in a moment. But with one move, I'm going to change this bull put credit spread into a bear put debit spread in the direction the stock's now going. How am I going to do that? I'm going to leave the pivot the short option where it is, I'm going to sell to close the 24 put and buy to open a 28. And that's going to create a bear put debit spread where I just had to swing one leg, kept the same expiration. Yes, it's going to lower my return, but now as the stock is moving down, I'm in a bear put debit spread that has a chance for a profit with one move. Doesn't always work. Will it work in this case with these fake numbers I put in? Let's take a look. What do I need to do? I need to sell to close the 24 put, which is out of the money. We're only going to get maybe 70 cents for it. So we have to sell to close this position. Now what do I have? Well, I've got a naked put position, in this case, that I received a credit of 108. 35 cents for the initial credit, and hey, I just took in about another, let's just call it 70 cents to make it more even. Not use midpoint, let's call it 70 cents. Okay? All right, so 105. Still have a large chance for a loss. But what I'm really doing is swinging this up to go to the 20, it's not going to work, 28 strike for a midpoint of about 320. All I did was sell to close the 24. Bought the higher strike 28, left the 26 alone, and it didn't work. What I needed was a premium of closer to 145, I think. I needed a premium of 145 after selling to close that one. So if I had done that, if this was a, this was slightly lower, I got slightly more for that 24, again, I'd have maybe a small profit here on what? An in-the-money debit spread. A debit spread where the stock is already at break even and below it and moving in the direction I want. In this case, it didn't work. I would only do this if it looked like a profit at the end. But that would have been number 8, what I call the pendulum adjustment. Very useful for those situations where the stock has a sudden overnight drop. You find yourself between the strike prices where yesterday you were still looking at a good position. You still have maybe 4 or 5 days to go to expiration, maybe even 10 days to go to expiration. You swing that put out, just make it look like a pendulum, lack of a better term, swinging back and forth. You're swinging here to turn your bull put into a bear put debit spread with one single move. Okay, so that's a quick review of the 8 ways I would look for to manage a credit spread. All listed in that webinar. Again, go to the webinars page, powerop.com/webinars.asp. Go into the options strategy section and scroll down to what we said, July 2015. And there is your managing, there's managing your bear call spread. I thought I lost it. I thought it was the July 21st one. I am really sorry. Hold on, guys. I lost it. There it is. I'm sorry. It's recent. I'm sorry. This one's very recent. It's from September of 2018. Okay, more recent. 8 ways to manage your bull put credit spread. There we talk about the trigger points, those 8 ways, more in depth in the review I just gave you. But now you've got an idea of, yes, there are ways to manage a credit spread, but you want to make sure before you get to the point to management, you have the correct trading plan in place. Position sizing, and you set your triggers based on what you would look to find the credit spread positions. And then when those underlying stock criteria shift, the underlying option criteria shift, get your trigger points, that's when you might look to manage, then you'd consider one of the 8 ways. Never overtrade into a credit spread or a debit spread because remember, you do have the chance, you do have the possibility of losing 100% of that if the stocks or the market as a whole suddenly moves from an unexpected event.